Hey there, I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. Alrighty, today is the weekly update for Thursday, December 21st, 2023. Welcome aboard, everybody. Glad to see you here. We are live streaming this on both YouTube and Rumble this evening. It looks like the stream is up and running well, which is always nice to see happen. Got a few things that we're going to be going over, a couple of quick announcements to make, a couple of channel announcements to make as we get going, as everybody sort of funnels on in. First off, I want to throw this out there that we are going to be looking at doing a special Christmas Eve and or Christmas evening live stream, possibly Monday night, Sunday night or Monday night, late night, probably starting around 10, 11 o'clock. It'll be pretty much a grab bag show. It'll be a pretty laid back, chill effort. I don't know if it'll be live on both Rumble and YouTube or whether it'll be just live on Rumble. Haven't quite decided that far ahead yet. I do know that we're going to put it out. We make our announcements of all our streams out on Twitter beforehand, let everybody know what's going on. If you're not familiar with what our Twitter address is, it's going across the bottom of the screen there. It's Twitter or X or whatever we're going to call it. It's thegunclub.com. If you want to go ahead, follow up on that one. You can get announcements of all of our streams, anything special we're doing. Also going to be posting more stuff on there after the first of the year. We've got a couple of sponsors coming on, a couple of affiliations coming on. Give us a chance to sort of give some discounts for some different things out there that we're involved with. So if you're interested, follow us up on X or Twitter, or I think I'll call it Twix, but that's going to be where we're going to announce all of that. I know there's a lot of people who are kind of down in the dumps around Christmas. Either they're alone or they've got something going on or they're stuck or they're sharing joint custody of the munchkins with someone else, and so they got to send them out of town. So again, Christmas Eve night and Christmas night, late night, we're going to have some streams. So if you're up and you're in the dumps and you want to watch and come in and bullshit with us, we're going to be here. And yes, I said bullshit. All righty. Beyond that, I've got an incident report, and we're going to go in kind of deep on this one, probably because, number one, there's a lot of information out there on it. And if you're not familiar with the incident, I'll go over it pretty well for you. You may have heard of it. It was all over social media. There's a lot of videos of it and pictures of it on social media. I'm not posting any of the gory pictures. If you want to, go on Twix. They're all there. I promise you, you can find every bit of this on there. Now, before we get into this, I'm going to say I am not picking on or making fun of any of the individuals involved. There are 3 individuals involved. One of them, unfortunately, is no longer with us. One of them was injured, and one of them was not physically injured, but was rather emotionally traumatized in the incident. Being what it is, I'm going to cover it. I feel it's something we can use, not so much to pick on or make fun of anyone, but I'm doing it because it is a learning experience. It is an educational experience. It's a what if. It's one of these things that everyone in this group, in this chat, and watching this video, whether here or in the replay gang later on, you can sort of say, okay, if I was in this person's shoes, this man's shoes, this woman's shoes, how would I handle this? What would I do if this was me? And I think there's a lot of things we can look at in hindsight as an after action report. Again, not doing this to pick on anyone or make fun of anyone or throw rocks at anyone. Now, if you're not familiar with the incident, that's fine. If you are, you know the names, you know all the details on it and all the gory details, so to speak. But if you're not, that's fine. I'll go simply. A woman left an abusive boyfriend. They had been together for some time. He had been, somewhat abusive, both physically and psychologically, from what I'm reading. Again, this is based on her statements. He can neither confirm nor deny at this point. She later discovered that he had put trackers, little Apple AirTags, in her suitcases to keep tabs on her and find out where she went. Bingo, that is not the actions of the normal person. She discovered this about a month after she had left the abusive boyfriend. She found it out on 12/3, and I put the date in there because of the fact she actually posted to social media that she found them. And she posted she had found them and that this was not right, this was crazy, etc. So, okay, ladies, you leave an ex, an abusive ex, a controlling, manipulative, psychologically abusive, I don't care where you put it in there, what you were going to call him, ex, and you find out that he's put tracking devices on your car, on your cell phone. Yeah, that's right. And I will say this doesn't have to be a he. I've known of a female who put a tracking device on her ex-girlfriend's car, and she was tracking her and following her around and videotaping her and doing all sorts of sketchy stuff. So you find out that someone has gone to this level, that they are obviously not taking the breakup well. We'll just say that. Now, she stayed with him, and she posted this on 12/7. She stayed with him for over 11 years because every time she threatened to leave, he would threaten self-harm. That's emotional manipulation. That's, again, not normal. This is another red flag. We should be sort of collecting them here. Red flag on the play. Red flag on the play. Okay. Now, how she handles that, the fact that she stayed with him or not, okay. Bad situation. I'm not faulting her for staying with him. I'm not faulting her for leaving the way she did. However, I will say this. If she realizes that A, she's leaving someone because he's been kind of unstable and emotional and manipulative, and then she, again, looking back on that track of 11 years, as she looks back, finding the air trackers on her suitcases on 12/3, oh boy, he's been emotionally manipulative and abusive, and now he knows where I am. This is all something that should be, red flags should be going off, sirens. Ladies, at this point, get law enforcement, get professionals involved. Law enforcement, the court system, whatever else. And this is where you might want to start considering, what are we going to do if he shows up here? What's the plan? Have a plan. He knows where I am. She had moved in with new boyfriend. Okay, cool, whatever. Some people say she moved too fast. I'm not going to go there. I could give two shits about their relationship or who she's with or where she's with. I am saying that when you realize, A, you left and he found where you are and you don't want him knowing where you are, there's only one reason why he's going to put that stuff there. He's got a possibility of doing something. Your cover is blown. Again, you knew this on the 3rd. Well, the morning of the 8th, he shows up trying to get into the building, the apartment building. The current boyfriend and she get a call from the landlord, and they discover that not only is he trying to get into the building, but he also has a weapon. He's armed with a shotgun under his coat. Nice. Now, I'm sure he didn't pick up the shotgun on the way over that morning. He may have, but they had 5 days advance notice of, he knows where I'm at. He's not dealing with this well. He's acting crazy. At this point, again, the boys in blue need to be involved. Or girls in blue, don't care. Not particularly care one way or the other. Potentially somebody with a black robe with a temporary restraining order or an emergency or protective order. You need to be proactive. I'm not faulting them, but everything they did in this case was reactive. They were reacting to everything that the individual did. If you let the psycho take step one and you're always being reactive, well, there's an action-reaction gap there. He's taking an action. You've got to figure out what to do and react to it. If you're proactive, what do? Do you get a restraining order? Well, in a restraining order, you've got to actually tell him where you live to stay away from it, but he already knows that because of the air trackers. We need to be proactive and protective. So, had we dealt with that, and apparently she tries to talk him, some sense to him through the doorway or through the door, which is closed, he ends up discharging the shotgun through the door and wounds her, fortunately, superficial wound to the leg. Fortunately, and I say fortunately for her, he was using birdshot. If you all know anything about shotguns, you know how this could have been a lot different if he was using a different loading in his shotgun. Fortunately, apparently, he didn't watch this channel and doesn't know what to use for better penetration. Then again, it is what it is. But she ended up wounded in the leg, superficial wound. She did lose some blood, and it was looked pretty gnarly. The pictures looked, impressive, but not a life-threatening injury, fortunately for her, because at this point she is now trapped in the apartment with the new boyfriend, kind of like a fish in a barrel. Well, the couple retreat out to the porch, basically the furthest point they could get from the doorway, and they're on the phone with law enforcement, basically begging the cops to hurry up and get there because guess what? This guy is now pounding on the door trying to get in. Law enforcement shows up, he engages with law enforcement, and he ends up ending his own life. That's tragic as well. Yeah, he's a problem child. He did this. He shot her. He shouldn't have stalked her. He's, a POS for all this stuff. But I still am not going to sit here and take joy in the fact that the individual ended their own life with a 12 gauge. That's not a good thing. Never is. But let's look back at this. They had a 5-day head start on him when they knew that he knew where they were. I don't know what they did as far as law enforcement or legal options, but I know one thing they did not do. Now, this is occurring in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It's a constitutional carry state. Both of these individuals are over 21, assumably had no significant criminal record, from what I can ascertain. They could have easily said, maybe this is time to be able to protect ourselves. Number one. Number two, when he shows up at the door and he has a shotgun, he has a weapon, standing in front of the door trying to negotiate with him through the door, lady, honey, darling, he did not show up with a shotgun to talk. You are very fortunate, and I'm glad that your wounds were not worse. I know it was painful. I know it was traumatic. I know it was awful. And I know it's something you'll have nightmares about. And I'm not trying to throw rocks at you. But if somebody is standing outside your door aggressively with a shotgun threatening you, how about you stay away from the door? That would be my number one. Put something much more solid besides just one door between you and them. Secondly, I will say this. The individuals in the apartment, the young lady and the new boyfriend, again, are incredibly fortunate that he was using birdshot, not something that could have gotten through the door faster. A couple slug loads, I could have been through the door in a heartbeat. I only say this because, this is where you suddenly realize that being reactive to anything, I don't care what it is, whether it's crime, whether it's fire, whether it's a car wreck, we put on a seatbelt when we drive our car to be proactive because just in case we get in a wreck, we kind of want our seatbelt on. We don't want to get thrown out. And in the middle of the wreck is the wrong time to try to react and put the seatbelt on. If you're cooking dinner one night and there's suddenly a grease fire on the stove, well, that's the wrong time to be reactive and go to the store and buy a fire extinguisher. Had you been proactive and bought one a week ago, you might be in a little bit better shape with that grease fire on your kitchen stove. Having the fire extinguisher and knowing how to properly use it safely and effectively pays big dividends. Well, in this case, a firearm could have been a crime extinguisher. Now, would this have worked out? I don't know. Hindsight is 2020, and it's very easy for us to sit here, watch this video now, and criticize and throw rocks at people. I get that. And I am not trying to do that. I don't fault the guy or the girl, anyone for what happened. I'm not trying to victim blame or victim shame. I am trying to say, what would you do if you were the person who realized on 12/3 that the abusive ex knows where you live and is making threats? What steps could you take to be proactive? Think about this now. Have these game plans in place. I'm not saying that, any of this is good that it happened. I'm glad for her that it worked out the way it did. I'm glad that when he was pounding on the door, he didn't get through the door. Had he been more effective with the shotgun, chose a more effective load, he probably would have been through the door pretty quickly, and we'd be having a much, much different discussion right now. He actually managed to shoot her, to wound her. That was bad enough. Now, on the new boyfriend side, maybe, she still has feelings for him somewhat. She's done with the relationship. It's over, it's done with, and everything else. But maybe she just can't bring herself to go out and decide to buy a firearm or go out and do something to protect herself. Gentlemen, we are the protectors, ideally. Not always, but ideally. At that point, if nothing else, I wish he had told her, look, honey, if he's doing all this, let's just have something just in case. Now, politically, I understand that this gentleman may not be a big fan of it. He's a big streamer, big name. I don't care about his politics. I don't care anything about it. Quite frankly, politically, he probably wouldn't want to sit at the same table with me. We have a lot of different beliefs. But I'll sit here tonight and I'll be glad and I'll be thankful that she's going to live and he came through it unscathed. I'll also say that the only reason they did is there but for the grace of God. There but for the lack of commitment and lack of knowledge and ability on behalf of the psycho. That's a bad thing. Don't rely on a psycho being bad at what they're doing for you to survive. And that's what they did in this. And, fortunately, it worked out well for them. I'm glad it worked out as well as it did. But, man, it could have been so, so much worse. So, again, have a plan. Safe defense plan, home defense plan. Plan a little bit ahead. Have an idea. Because what happened with this, we could be having a tragedy. We could be easily talking about a tragedy. Now, let's go beyond that. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about the formula. Now, I've mentioned the formula in the past. And the formula, pretty much, simplest version is not all guns or gun owners are created equally. The vast majority of us firearms owners are responsible, law-abiding, decent citizens. There are some problematic incidents with firearms, and I'm not going to deny that. But they can largely be traced to one or two groups of firearm owners. Many times we see the underage, immature, emotionally immature individuals or people with, violent felony convictions. Shortly beyond that, you can get into the people with, previous mental health history. Those are the problematic people. So we look at it here and we say out of 100% of the guns out there, maybe 20, 25% are in the hands of the problem people. We need our lawmakers and our congressional personnel and legislative personnel at the state level to deal with those issues. They keep on trying to make laws to address all gun ownership. Well, 75% of us ain't the problem. 80% of us ain't the problem. We're going to go through two incidents tonight, and we're going to look and see how the formula fits. First one, this came out of Hendersonville, North Carolina. Now, the incident happened a couple months back. However, he was recently in court today, the individual involved, and we're going to talk about this incident because it says a lot. It happened October 9th. Now, Hendersonville, North Carolina is a little sleepy town in western North Carolina. It's actually about 70 miles from the house. I lived in this little community for about 5 years. And I can tell you when I lived there, there was only like one or two actual bars in town. And one of those was Applebee's. And one was across the street from the Applebee's in the old Hendersonville Mall. Now, most of the mall is shut down now. There's a couple of the anchor stores still there. I think a Belk's and a sporting goods place or something else. But it's a sleepy little western North Carolina town. Now, this incident begins with two women having an argument outside the McDonald's on Main Street. And I've actually gone to this McDonald's a few times, picked up food there years ago. One of the women goes into the restaurant trying to get away from the other one. Well, the other one follows her. Now, the manager tries to separate the women at McDonald's. One of them leaves, ends up coming back in the door a few minutes later. Well, when she's coming back in, She's confronted by the manager and an employee in the doorway, telling her, okay, enough, you can't come in. The woman reportedly reached out and touched the employee basically with an open hand, trying to push her way in the door, at which point the employee drew a concealed carry pistol and shot the woman in the chest. He then fled the scene in his vehicle. Folks, this is not a good self-defense shooting. This is not a good situation. This is according to police department, everything we're seeing is a massive overreaction. Now let's look at this individual. He is, drives to the local elementary school to pick up his son, kind of like nothing happened. Well, fortunately, the school resource officer with the school was familiar with the suspect, had heard what was going on the radio. Thank you, officer, for being heads up and proactive. He was able to take him into custody in the parking lot without incident. The firearm was recovered in the car, and he's since been charged with second-degree murder. This gentleman had a history of issues, so to speak. And when we look at his history of issues, he's 35 years of age. He had multiple prior arrests dating back to 2015, where he was charged with assault by pointing a weapon, possession with intent to distribute, and maintaining a vehicle or dwelling for controlled substance use. He was also charged at this time with possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, as well as a charge for bringing the firearm on school property. Now, when we look at this situation, this person should not have had a weapon. Based on his priors, I'm willing to bet that he did not get the firearm through your normal, regular channels. So no matter what background check we put in at the gun store for all the regular firearm owners, it would not have stopped him. He wouldn't have passed the background check. Now, I don't know what he's been doing since 2015 to 2023, possibly some time in jail given his history. I wasn't able to find his actual North Carolina Department of Corrections records, but I'm guessing probably spent some time on the inside, at least a lot of time on probation. My point in this is a gun used in a very bad way, used to kill this woman. No way it's self-defense. I looked up the woman. She's all of 110 pounds soaking wet with a roll of quarters in her pocket. And this gentleman looks to be every bit of 250 to 300 pounds. So an open hand to the chest from this woman, no. The closed-circuit TV at McDonald's, video cameras at McDonald's, the police chief said there's no way this is self-defense. This is ridiculous. Plus, if he did think it was lawful self-defense, chances are he would have stayed there and he would have said, well, officer, I use my weapon in self-defense because of this, this, and this. And we could talk about the 5 standards for self-defense, or you can go listen to Bronco. My point is, a weapon used wrongfully was in the hand of someone who never should have had it. The formula says he shouldn't have had a gun, but the formula also says he never would have gotten one in a lawful process. So he got it clearly in an unlawful process. Now, North Carolina prohibits private person-to-person sales. That being said, if you can't do person-to-person sales, he obviously bought it black market. No gun law is going to fix that problem. No gun law is going to do it. But yet we have people fighting and fighting and fighting for gun laws to do what? They wouldn't have worked. Now let's go to El Paso, Texas. Because, we got to throw a Texas clip in there every now and then. This one was kind of interesting. Unfortunately, on this one, it has a somewhat happy ending. Nobody dies anyway. No one gets shot. Woman and her boyfriend pull into the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts to purchase some donuts. Because that's what you do, right? You're going out looking for some donuts at Dark 100. The woman felt like the employee she spoke to through the speaker was rude to her. So she asked to speak to the manager. Well, apparently, that didn't work out too well. She states the employee responded that he was the blanket manager, and she pulls up to the side window there because she's going to talk to somebody. Well, 3 employees exit the restaurant at the back with handguns. One employee walks up to the boyfriend's side of the car, chambers around, and points the gun at the woman's boyfriend, said, y'all going to die tonight. Again, firearms used in a completely inappropriate, unlawful manner. Do we think these people went through the normal background check procedure and vetting procedure to get a gun? Did they go buy this at a local place? No. The couple leaves the store, calls 911. El Paso PD responds out. Since has arrested 3 individuals charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The suspects are 17, 19, and 20. Each one is out on $100,000 bond. Now, I don't know where these guys got the guns. Maybe the 19 and 20-year-old were able to purchase lawfully, but I'm going to kind of doubt it. The 17-year-old, in no way, shape, or form, can ever buy or own a pistol legally. All these individuals, again, pass all the laws you want, they've got guns anyway, and they keep having guns anyway. Now, I looked into these 4 guns involved, the 3 in this and the 1 in the previous shooting at McDonald's. And do you know what I did find? It didn't involve a single AR-15. There was not a ghost gun in any of these incidents. There was no pistol braces or forced reset triggers in any of these. They also did not involve a bump stock of any kind. They all did involve individuals who should not have had firearms and most likely did not get them legally. Maybe the 19 and 20-year-old, maybe. But again, I'm kind of doubting that because the Supreme Court decision on pistols didn't come in until just recently, and this one did happen back at the beginning of the month. Chances are these are all street guns. And it shows that here's 3 guns. Now, fortunately, no one got shot, no one dead, no one with a hole in them. The other one, woman died. 30-year-old woman died in the lobby of McDonald's. They're saying she was possibly emotionally disturbed. There's a lot of question about that. But even at the worst case scenario, I'm like 200 plus pounds, pushing 275, 100 something pound little female coming up to me, pushing me in the chest. If that gets me to say, oh, I'm going to draw my concealed carry and go to self-defense on it, wrong. So you've got 4 guns used horrifically wrong by people who never should have had them, but no gun law that anyone's trying to push right now would have done a damn thing. In the previous one, in the West Virginia case, I don't know where he got that gun. I've been unable to find that out. But one thing I do find is if he's been threatening self-harm for the last on and off, 11-year relationship, say the last year he's been threatening self-harm, if she knew he had a gun, she could have possibly got him red flagged. She could have possibly called somebody, got him some mental health help. Who knows? He definitely was not a person who should have had a gun either. Probably why that ended the way it did. And thank the Lord that she didn't end up getting a bullet in her. But all these people are ones who should never have had guns to begin with. But that's not a law fix for any of this. So again, when we see people trying to pass or legislators talking about we need better gun control, their laws would not have fixed these incidents. So we need to be smart about what we do. If you can show me a gun control law that would actively fix some of these problems, I might actually be willing to look at it and say, look, hey, this is good. It can fix a problem or it can address the situation. Folks, none of the laws they're trying to pass are going to fix the problem. They're passing useless laws again and again and again, putting more and more restrictions on legal gun owners. But meanwhile, the people buying them illegally are out there running around doing stuff like this. At the drive-thru of Dunkin' Donuts? Come on, man. Has the world gone completely crazy, folks? I don't know. Alrighty. Couple things I need to mention here as we're going through. Tonight's little adventure is supported by Valor Academy through Valor Medical Services. They have an extensive online collection of CAPCI-approved EMS continuing education. They do have a coupon code online for the Gun Club for a 15% discount off any of their subscriptions. You can go to academy.valormed.net. They've got pretty much all the CAPCI required objectives covered in there. If you need just one class, hey, that's great. If you need a bunch of hours, that's great too. Again, small business owned, founded, run by paramedics, teaching other paramedics, trying to help out, provide quality continuing education at reasonable prices. So, again, check them out over at Valor Medical. They are going to be a big sponsor of our channel going through. And if you need, we'll put the ticker up on there. If you need continuing education hours, check them out. Alrighty, onwards and upwards with the evening. As we move forward, let's talk a little bit about good guys or girls with a gun. Now, as we get into good guys or girls with a gun, something else we need to say for a moment. He recently came across my desk, across my radar, whatever you want to say. People out there who have either purchased a gun themselves, not familiar with how to use it, or had a gun purchased for them by a father, brother, cousin, uncle, mother, aunt, whatever. That's great, but they're not familiar with how to use it. Having that fire extinguisher is great. If it's still in the box out in the garage and you don't know where it is, how to use it, how to inspect it, how it works, well, you just put the money into it, but you're really not getting a lot of benefit out of it. This person that came across, again, the radar to me was gifted a firearm of some kind, is not very familiar with it, doesn't have permits, doesn't have anything else yet. And, I'm going to say this, girl, the person who talked to me about it, come on out. Come on out to the range, come on out to the office. We will go over everything about it. I know you've gone out to the hockey games with us a few times. It's all about your safety. It's all about, you've got a wonderful tool, but if you don't know how to use that tool, the proper way to use that tool, the legal way to use that tool's doing you no good. You've got plenty of instructors. If not me, find another instructor, go out, get your training. Even if you're not the person I'm talking to or talking about, if you're in this situation at home, find another instructor. We've been bringing instructors on. We had John on the other night, came in, chatted. We've had Kerry Sloan on as an instructor. We had Bill Kennedy on as an instructor, chatting. We're bringing other instructors in. Do you notice the one thing about all of us? We all understand that people are new. We all understand there's a lot to learn. We all understand it's a little bit difficult at first. We get that. And we're willing to work with you. There are a lot of really, really good firearms instructors around the country. And if you find one you don't like, that's fine. Find another one. There's plenty of us out there. A lot of us will sit there and we'll work with you. We understand very, very well, have the mindset of what's going on in the world. And because we have the mindset about what's going on in the world, we know that you need to know, and we want to teach you. Now, we can't come to your house and drag you kicking and screaming to the range. They kind of frown on that. And we can't, show up at your doorstep, knock on the door and say, hi, we're here for your gun lessons. I guess we could, but it might be a little bit much. My point is, folks, if you've already got the money invested in it, you've already gone down that road, and you want to learn how to use your firearm better, or learn to use it at all, or learn to safely load and unload it, or manipulate it, or whatever skill level you want to get to, now is the time to do it. Take the bull by the horns, make it your New Year's resolution. You know what? I've got this thing sitting over here in the box. I kind of probably need to know a lot more about it. Find an instructor, make your New Year's resolution to make yourself safer. Learn how to use that fire extinguisher. Learn how to use that firearm. Now, if you're a firearm guru and you know all about that, hey, maybe learn some first aid training. Learn some stuff. Let's go with 2024 being a great personal development time for us. The gun guys and firearms people, learn something medical. The medical people, maybe learn more about firearms. If you're good on both of those, maybe learn more about developing a self-defense plan. We've got a couple of products we'll be showcasing in the next week or so that are, really good home preparedness products. I'm not doing this to sell something or to try to make a buck, because I could really care less about making a buck. The thing is, I don't want to read about this stuff in the newspaper. And we keep seeing that. So I'm going to kind of get off my soapbox, although this channel is kind of my soapbox for shit like this. But got a few cases we're going to go over here. This one comes out of Wasilla, Alaska, December 17th. A woman fatally shot an intruder who broke into her home, stabbed her husband during a confrontation. Huh? Good girl with a gun. That's right. A woman who troopers say was defending her husband during a home invasion killed an intruder Sunday morning. 22-year-old suspect breaks in, and he was killed by a bullet fired by this female. One shot, one kill. According to the report, neither the man nor the woman who was living at the house knew this guy who broke in. However, he did break in with a knife. The husband sustained some defensive wounds to his arm. Is minor, non-life threatening. However, in light of the situation, the female of the house picks up the gun and defends the castle. It is what it is, folks. When you look at something like that, you say, okay, how would that react? How would that go down if it was in my home? Well, folks, definitely kind of worth looking into. We have another one here, and this one's kind of interesting. This one comes to us out of Bismarck, North Dakota. 21-year-old man is in the hospital with a gunshot wound after stabbing a 23-year-old in an apartment. The 23-year-old shot the 21-year-old in what appears to be self-defense. The officers responded about 2:10 in the morning regarding suspects pounding on the door and screaming for help. Around the same time, a call came into dispatch regarding a stabbing victim at the hospital. Officers arrived at both locations, found a 21-year-old at the apartment with a gunshot wound to the chest, and a 23-year-old at the hospital with stab wounds. Interviewing witnesses said the 23-year-old was stabbed multiple times in the abdomen while hanging out at the apartment. The witnesses said he shot the 21-year-old after being stabbed, indicating he was acting in self-defense. The case is still under investigation. However, you stab somebody multiple times while you're hanging out at their apartment. Number one, chances are you're not coming back. That wasn't the housewarming gift they wanted, was a knife to the gut. But that being said, it is what it is. Definitely an interesting one. Have another one. This one comes out of California, and this was possibly one you saw on TV. Straight out of Pleasant Hill, California, a local consignment shop. A group of would-be robbers come in, many of them empty-handed, some carrying sledgehammers, basically started smashing display cases, doing smash and grab for jewelry, and the 73-year-old store owner showed them his gun and told them to stop it, at which point they scattered and ran. Now, this happened at 4:20 in the afternoon at Monday. Surveillance system shows a woman coming through the store, possibly a scout scoping out the security cameras, telling the young men what was going on, that there was no one in there. She gives them the signal. They all come crashing in with a sledgehammer to scoop out all the good stuff. Well, they actually had security guards or security system on the door. However, she held the door open for them from the inside on the way out, and they all came in. You may have seen the video of this one. It was actually kind of funny to watch. Definitely, they reconsidered their decision at that moment. So, again, he pulls out his revolver, just a little stubby 38 revolver, and guess what? Ends up with the group scattering out of the shop, takes off, and Pleasant Hill PD gets them outside. These young gentlemen took a sledgehammer to a gunfight, and that didn't work out apparently too well for them. It's fortunately that no one got wounded, no shots fired, no nothing. But again, he did not have to hesitate to respond, chances are, working in that area, running a store in that area, he had a plan. So we'll give him credit for that one. Folks, those are what I've got for this evening. I know we had a quick stream. Like I said, if you want to come out and join us, we're going to put it out on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. We'll put the notification out on Twitter. Chances are we'll be going late night. I don't know who's going to be here. I may have a guest or two coming wandering on in. They may well come in. We may chat about who knows what firearm related. Just basically a place to be. Everyone hang out, grab a cup of coffee at the gun shop, at the gun club, and talk guns, talk fun stuff, talk about what we got for Christmas, talk about what we're going to do with the gift card we got for Christmas, talk about what we got ourselves for Christmas, show off our newest toys. And that's, again, given some of the strictness on different channels, I figure it'll be, a little bit better to do it on the Rumble channel because, well, something about free speech and Rumble and all sorts of good things like that. It is what it is. Folks, beyond that, y'all have a wonderful holiday if I don't see you. Thank you so much for support of the channel. Please like, share it out, pimp it out, get it out to everybody. We always appreciate that. Y'all be safe. I'll see you. Bye.